I got the chance to interview Yushua, the second place runner-up at the Beyblade World Championship North American qualifiers that happened this past weekend at Anime Expo. I took on community questions and dug into what really went on at this event and what we want to see change moving forward. Ready for the spice? Let's get into it. Just before that, this video would not be possible without the support of our channel sponsors, Bays & Bricks, as well as Newsel 3D. Use code WIZARD at both shops to support the channel and get 8% off your next Bays & Bricks order, ordering your favorite Beyblade products, as well as 10% off your next Newsel 3D order, getting the best and latest and greatest 3D printed Beyblade accessories. And if you really want to show your support, become an official member of the Anti-Wizard Wizard Club by becoming a channel member below or leaving a super thanks. Doing that not only supports the channel greatly, but also gets you early access to my future videos, as well as shoutouts in future videos. With that said, let's jump right into the interview. Hey everyone, this is Ryan from Anti-Wizard Wizard Club, and today I'm joined by none other than Yushua, who came second place, the runner-up at the Beyblade North American World Championship qualifiers, which were held at Anime Expo this past weekend. Yushua, welcome to the channel, man. How you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing great, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really, really appreciate it. I know you had a long set of travels home and everything. So what we've done is I've actually talked to a bunch of different Discord communities that are related to Beyblade and sourced a bunch of questions from the community that they have for folks who really competed at the top at these Beyblade North American qualifiers at Anime Expo. So just wanted to take some time to run through a bunch of those, get your take on things, hear your perspective, sort of how your prep went and all that kind of stuff, and go from there. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and turn to my left monitor, which has all of my questions here. I'd love to start by just having you tell us and my audience a little bit more about yourself. I'm not sure how well known you are outside of your local Beyblade community, but just tell us a little bit about your name, how you got into Beyblade, your journey throughout the scene, and what led you to all the way up to that second place finish at Anime Expo.
So I actually started Beyblade about a little bit over a year ago, just before the last Anime Expo, because of a friend that's from Bakersfield. Ever since then, I've been going to my locals, and eventually I actually took over my locals as an organizer in about September. People might have known me from outside because we've had a lot of people come from Texas, from Oregon, Florida, and I have a friend that's actually in Virginia right now, and he's fully enjoying it and he's taking top places over there. And then not even last May, I went to Illinois, and they're trying to claim me. I know they want to claim me so bad, but I took first place at their big tournament at their convention at Anime Central. So
I feel like that you're a very well qualified participant to be in like the top ranks of North American bladers, just given your national track record in all of these different states. That's really cool. Cool. So you're clearly involved in a bunch of different Beyblade communities. You even said that you kind of started to take over your own community a little bit. What has that done for you as far as your like the way you engage with Beyblade, how you sort of like prep for competitions, and particularly what you were thinking and practicing and processing leading up to the qualifiers at Anime Expo?
I would say it gave me the biggest advantage because I could host whatever I wanted. I would say most people that are playing Beyblade right now are so stuck on playing a certain way that it's actually clouded their judgment, which is why you saw a lot of people that were trying to run Wizard Raw 960 ball on the Hasbro Stadium. Because I've had that experience being able to host my own Hasbro events or Hasbro only Beyblade stuff and other events like that, I had a slight edge over the competition. Not only that, I did help out with the SoCal Challengers League. I actually organized for the San Diego scene, and that was the first event to test out the waters, and overall, a lot of people got salty by it, but you know what? It was closer to what we expected from the event than we actually got.
So you kind of had a bit of like your own proving grounds, as you might say, in terms of the Anime Expo qualifiers. You were able to prep and feel more confident going into the event. Is that fair to say?
Yes, very fair.
Yeah. Cool. So speaking of the tournament, walk me through your preparation for that. Not like generally, but more so actual prep leading up to the event, you know, whether it was weeks or months or even days. And I'm curious just sort of like what that process was like for you all the way up until you launched for your first match of the day.
So a lot of it comes down to testing and trying to figure out what do we think is going to be what people are going to be using, trying to see what would do the best counter. I actually had to switch. The main bay I used to get in was actually decided based on the fact that I like Aero Pegasus, of course, and Kick is just such a good bit that like I had to use it. So my actual first bay was Wizard Rod 160 Kick, and that was through a lot of testing. That's running a tournament and then running an after tournament with just like a lot of our more competitive scene, because if you can't really do a lot of good testing with people that are just getting into the scene, you got to make sure you have like a group that wants to test with you.
That's really interesting. I know that Kick is kind of like the new hot stuff when it comes to like aggressive attack bits that have some stamina to spare. What made you run that versus something more traditional like Rush or Low Rush?
I think it's just because it had more options in terms of being able to out stamina the most common bit, which would be Rush at the time, which I believe 100% was the most common bit, just because it was literally known to be perfect attack, and no one is doing the deeper research into the blades themselves.
In terms of training, there wasn't just one combo you were using throughout the day, I assume. Like what other combos besides Rod 160 Kick did you end up trying? What made it all the way to the day of the competition, and what maybe was left on the cutting room floor?
So other things I tried, I really love Unite. That's another bit I think is slept on very much. I was going to use Wizard Rod 160 Unite, but I decided the safer option would be Kick, just because Kick was just performing better. I know people are going to hate me for using Wizard Rod, but I also looked at other things like Garuda 970 Unite. People have known me to try that as well. I did want to try it, but the consistency wasn't just not there. I ended up going for my final deck with Wizard Rod 360 Low Rush, simply because I knew that was a Goon counter. Everyone thinks that Goon is so unbeatable, but once you actually start looking into the weeds of things, it's easy to beat. Of course, I use Goon myself, but I know that in Hasbro, I had to cut Elevate. Elevate was gonna sell. You don't have enough movement to dodge, and you don't have enough aggro to be a bully in the arena. You needed to be a bully in that arena for sure. My other combo, Hover Wyvern 160 Kick. I saw when we were doing some testing on the Hasbro Stadium that it had a lot of, let's say, chaos when in the pocket. So that chaos means that it has a really good chance of just popping out of that pocket. So as you saw in multiple times in the matches, if you did watch it, that Hover Wyvern got me some crazy points and saved me from getting extra point to my opponent.
Yeah, it's typically harder for blades to come out of the Hasbro pockets than it is the Takara Tomy pocket. So that advantage that you either discovered or learned about probably really played in your favor and helped you climb. So just to be clear, were your final combos for the day Rod, you said 360 Low Rush?
That's correct.
Yeah, Rod 360 Low Rush, and then Hover Wyvern 160 Kick, and then your third combo
is the Cobalt Dragoon 560 level.
Perfect, got it. And it's interesting too, that actually is a good segue to understanding what parts were legal to use for the tournament. When you decided on those combos, when did you have confirmation, or even did you ever get solid confirmation that things like level were legal to use? I know particularly in a Hasbro environment, that product is kind of rolled out, but kind of not in different regions and different states. So I'm curious how that played out for you in terms of deciding your combos and knowing it was safe to use.
So level was a last minute addition. I found out probably that Thursday. Specifically, I was looking for a third combo. It was actually going to be Tyranno beat 560 point. But when I saw that level was not banned, I switched to Cobalt Dragoon because I knew that was the counter for a lot of Cobalt Dragoon builds and a lot of stamina builds.
Yeah, I really like Dragoon on level, even if it's, can be low floor, high ceiling at times. In my experience, maybe I'm not good with it, but like it's still just incredibly fun to use. Okay, so take us to the day of the event. I'm really curious what your experience was like from like the moment you walked into AX. You were looking for the booth. I heard all the chaos of like the lining up and like the circling the Beyblade area, like everything related to like, I guess, the running and the organization of the event. What do you think went really well? What were opportunities for improvement? What was your take and experience like at an Anime Expo?
I felt like, let's say, for the first thing first, let me start where I went off. I actually started off really bad. Let's say I did not get sleep that night. So I was already just dead tired going into the event. Luckily, all the bladers are lined up on a different line compared to me. I just happened to be in a line where they were just not as populated for bladers. So I managed to get into a good spot just before the entertainment hall. After that, they opened up the entertainment hall about 15 minutes early. Now, as soon as we get through, I see people dashing from the right side, because that's where the bladers were heavily positioned. But I got into the hall, make my way, and I hear them like, "We cannot let you guys into the line, or you can't line up right now. It's too early." And they say, "Line up at 9." So they don't want us to stay around. So I decided to go a little bit away and look at some other events going by, or other booths. I looked at Kaiju number 8. Just sat there for a bit, played the game until about 5 minutes before, and then started heading back to the line. And then it basically became Squid Games. It became Squid Games in terms of trying to get a vie for a spot just to be in line. Once they officially started, it was a mad dash for it. I think the best thing they should have done, they should have just used the Japanese style of a lottery system at the very least, because there was just too much chaos. Too many people were just angry. If they just gave us an hour to sign up and did a lottery, I think it would have been way more efficient. People will be less mad because everyone would have a more equal opportunity. I did know that some ADA people did not have as good of a chance because they were just getting pushed out by everyone trying to just get their position. So,
do you know anyone who tried to get into the tournament and was, respectful and in the thick of it like you were, who ended up actually not being able to compete due to the limitations and the way that it was organized in terms of the line?
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to my friend Bearnap. He saw the line, he saw the chaos. He decided just to watch from afar. And then my other friend Risu, he saw that line. He figured that he was gonna get in, but then again he got told that he couldn't, and eventually he was at the very end of the line and not being able to cut it. There were so many bladers there that deserved to be in there, 100%. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of luck. And sometimes Beyblade is about luck.
There's a real world that you, as the runner-up, one of the grand finalists in the finals of the whole tournament, could have simply not been able to compete because of the way it was organized. Is that something that you've thought about at all since entered the tournament and since coming home?
I didn't really think about it, to be fair. To me, it was supposed to just be a fun event. And to me, it was a fun event once I got in. If you watch the back to the video plays or whatever, or whoever's watching or recording, I was definitely trying to play up the crowd, make sure everyone was hyped. It's Beyblade, man. It's like extreme.
I'm glad that you were able to find the optimistic view to focus on and keep the glass half full, as they say, and keep your spirits up and those around you, their spirits up. I'm sure that was really appreciated, not just by the bladers who could and couldn't get in, but also, frankly, the staff too. Like, I don't think anyone at the end of the day who was running this event had any sort of malicious intent. I think they tried their best, and clearly there was some learnings that happened to try to make it run a little bit better next time. But this is more even a note just to the community. I don't think that there was anyone who was out there, sticking their nose up at competitive bladers, especially those above the age of 12, and wanted to see something bad happen. It was just a bit of lack of preparation and, things that could have been done differently. I'm curious if there's anything in particular that you'd hope to see changed if we were to look at like the 2026 version of North American qualifiers.
Well, first of all, the easiest one, I want more tournaments. I think it doesn't do us a service that we have only one representative for the United States to go. We definitely need at least a West Coast, East Coast. I think that would have been very fair as a competition. Because we have two big sides of the coast. I know BBAX does really big events, but they're all more related to like Illinois area and like that particular region of the United States. Overall, the only issue was literally just how people got into the tournament. I think that was the only issue. The tournament was ran by other WBO, the Josh, and I know Crinchet Bay was there as well. So I wasn't too bothered by the actual running of the tournament. It was just more of how the tournament gathered its participants.
Mm-hmm. And then in terms of like the perceptions and reactions from the different members of the community, I'm not sure if you've seen any of the interviews or quotes or just general sentiment that it sounds like is coming from representatives from Takara Tomy, and they're sort of like, I guess for lack of a better word, surprise at both the size and level of enthusiasm for competitive Beyblade from the North American market. Do you feel like this is an opportunity to open the doors to sort of all ages and more opportunities, more like chances to compete? Do you think this is the time for Takara Tomy to maybe get more involved and acknowledge the presence that the community sort of like made known at Anime Expo?
You know what? I think Takara Tomy actually was aware of how big the scene is. The real issue was trying to get the people that are US side to see how big it was, considering the last few events they've ran before were very dismal. This is the first time they ran an event, and we not just met the participation cap, we exceeded it by twofold. So this is actually a good sign to show that, hey, we want more events. We love this game. And not even just sales, because some people think that sales is the whole entire thing, or might be a good thing that we as doing good. But we got to remember, a lot of us bladers, we already have a lot of the parts. We're getting the parts early. So we don't know how they're seeing their numbers. So that's another thing we got to be vigilant of.
I want to talk a little bit more about your experience throughout the matches in the tournament itself. Did you have any memorable moments or competitors, combos you saw, obviously besides the grand finals, but like anything stand out in your mind that were moments of intensity or stress or excitement throughout the actual tournament matches you played?
I would say almost every match I had to do, there was a different storyline for every match. The first one was literally one of my people in my private Discord that I talk to all the time, Mikhail. I had to knock out my own buddy from participating. That was the first match. Second match, the person knocked out one of my friends. So I had like the revenge match story arc, you know? And then after that, I had to fight against Lion, I believe. And the whole entire story arc of that is he was the SoCal Challenger participant. So he was the one that got into it by qualifying and then took home the whole entire prize from Jam Comps. So he was really a hard opponent to beat. We got really close, but unfortunately, he did well, but I did better.
So what was it like when you got through, I guess, like the day of qualifiers and made it into like the bracket? What was that process like? Did things get more intense? What were like the types of combos that you saw? Any, walk me through your headspace throughout the day at that portion.
I don't say any real combos stuck out to me. They were all combos I had my eyes on as well, but I figured they were not the combos I needed for my particular playstyle.
Now, I know, at least from my understanding, there was a moment where things got maybe a little bit more serious when it was top 4. I think each of the top 4 bladers were given one of the jerseys to wear, and maybe it started to get a little bit more of a spotlight on you. The crowd started to gather. What were you feeling at that moment when you were kind of starting to stand in front of people who were really cheering for you, more than just your friends, but like strangers who were seeing it all unfold?
So funny thing is, right? I was less nervous about this than the SoCal Challengers that we did, simply because I think I was in cosplay. The cosplay gave me the aura, the extra power, you know, the mentality, the fortitude to just power through and be like, I'm embodying this character. I got to be this character, you know. Even in my interviews that will eventually come out by them, I'd say, you might have done well, but you still have to go through Tyson.
That's awesome. I feel like it can really give you a confidence boost when not only you're able to express yourself in that way, but you're surrounded by so many like-minded people as well. That's why I love going to places like Anime Expo. It's a vibe for sure. So let's go through to your top 4 match, the one that got you into the grand finals. What was that like for you? What did you play against specifically, if you recall? How was that match, and what did it feel like when you knew that you secured your ticket to the final match?
So I think I had him read like a book, essentially. I played a lot of the combos that I knew that had the best chance against his combos and managed to get an early lead. And then he was about to get catch up with me exactly to 3 points. But my hover wyvern did the thing I was expecting it to do, which was to go in the pocket and hop back out. And it only gave him 1 point. So that gave me a huge advantage going into the last match. And I had a feeling he was going to use his Cobalt Dragoon Elevate. And of course, I had the counter on standby. Wizard Rod 360 Low Rush. And it was easy from there.
Okay, so big match. You are in the finals versus Elena Bay. My first question is, before you were standing across from Elena Bay, did you know her? What did you know about her? What did you know about the deck she was running? How familiar were you with her and her wiki?
So Elena Bay, I actually have no prior experience with her. As far as I know, she had a big enough following and a big enough group to know that she did have a scene where she was at, because they were all cheering for her on the right side. And then on my side, everyone on the left was cheering for me. So I knew that she was definitely not some random blader that showed up out of nowhere. And then Jacob Pomegranate confirmed that, yes, she has bladed before with WBO.
Yeah,
and has done well.
I think that's pretty important to know. There was some rumors going around in the scene of like, oh, it's this person who just brought her kids and doesn't really know blading. Like, no, she's pretty serious. She's pretty good, and she's proved it already. She's better than everyone else that entered that competition, at least that day, because she's going to be our NA representative. So I don't want to see anyone talking any smack about her, but
we got to support her. She is our representative as far as we know, until maybe I become the supporter, the main challenger. But at the same time, I hope she does go through.
You're standing across from her. The competition is starting. What are the things going through your head and your heart at that moment throughout the match? What are you thinking and what are you feeling as things are unfolding?
So I'm just focusing specifically on my launch tech, trying to figure out how I want to launch and make sure I get the launch I wanted. I didn't even focus on the crowd really until once I got into the blade, the challenge, what's it called? To the battle. Because once you get in the battle, you have to shut out the crowd. If you don't, you're going to just get overwhelmed by it.
I'm sorry to have to do this, but walk me through what that last launch was like. What were you feeling? What through your head? What was it like to be you in that moment?
It worked out in the sense that, sure, my launch, I felt like it was really good, but I just got scooped up at the last second. I think if it lasted any more than longer, like 3 seconds longer, I would have won that match. And I think I would have had the power to beat the follow-on match, because I think my blade that she had left countered hers.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, hey, at the end of the day, like you said, it's definitely some skill, some technique, but luck is always going to be a bit of a part of the Beyblade experience. And unfortunately, luck was shining on Elena Bay during that launch. But like you said, we're going to cheer for her if she ends up, confirming and becoming our US national, or rather NA national representative at Worlds. And regardless, we got to see some really, really exciting matches happen at Anime Expo this year. And we have you partially to thank for that because of the energy you brought and the matches that you were able to play. So on behalf of the community, big thanks for you and Elena, for sure. You were kind of brought up a point, and for those who are unaware, if for whatever reason Elena Bay is unable to attend Tokyo and compete at Worlds, we have our runner-up competitor right here who will be taking their place. Now, no one knows what's going to happen on that front, but let's live in a hypothetical world for a second and say that tomorrow you're told you are going to be the North American representative that goes to Tokyo. What does the rest of the year leading up to Worlds look like for you? What are you doing to prepare? What are you thinking about? What are you feeling? What does it look like for you if you are chosen as our representative, as the runner-up at Anime Expo?
If I was chosen to go, I think more along the lines of solidifying my top three, instead of going too crazy with experimental, just start practicing those particular three. Because once you get to a certain level, each one of those combos can counter any combo. Because I do particularly like balanced type combos. So just knowing more practice on terms of like reading launches is probably the biggest thing I want to practice. So being able to quickly adjust based on how someone is launching and how they're holding their launcher would probably be the biggest thing I'll be working on up until Worlds qualify, or no, World Challenge, Worlds tournament.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. If you had the chance to give Elena Bay any advice or well wishes or anything specific that you'd want to share with her as she, potentially prepares to become the North American representative, what would you want to say to her?
Do your best, compete the best that you can, but most of all, have fun. That's the main point of Beyblade.
I have a strong feeling that maybe not this specific video, but just in general, Hasbro, Takara Tomy, I think they're going to put their finger on the pulse a little bit more in regards to listening to community members, content creators, whatever it might be, subreddits, discords. If you have the chance right now to have the ear of Hasbro and Takara Tomy and others involved in organizing official competitive Beyblade events in late 2025, 2026 and beyond, what do you want to see from them specifically to make them as successful and enjoyable as possible?
Just more support. And I think the biggest thing is making sure that your tournaments are not coinciding with a lot of your, I would say, smaller qualifier tournaments are not coinciding with a big event already.
Some of the points that different community members have brought up are things like just getting rid of the age limitations in North America. Things like once it's released, obviously switching formally to the Takara Tomy Stadium rather than using the Hasbro Stadium. Things like working closely and more formally with organizations like WBO and others to help facilitate these events in a way that makes sense for the community, for those who have been already doing this in an unofficial capacity. Those are just some of the things that folks have brought up within the community. Is there anything along those lines that you think would be important for Hasbro and Takara Tomy to keep in mind as they look towards 2025, late 2025 and 2026 potential revamps for competitive Beyblade events?
I actually don't want to get rid of the Hasbro Stadium. Crazy as it sounds, I think having that at least be the intro would help to weed out a lot of players. It's faster, of course. It just makes it more efficient. However, I would like the finals and anything that was top whatever to be in TT stadiums. That's where it should be. That's what we're going to be competing on, and that should be our focus. In terms of working with WBO, I do hope so. I just think they need to step in and like just create something their own.
Does it feel like there is strong potential for really healthy partnerships between Takara Tomy, Hasbro, and just fan organizations in general in the near future? Does it feel like that's something that would bear really great fruit?
In my opinion, yes. It'd be easier to get the word out between all three.
What do you think is important for us as community members to keep in mind if we want to see Beyblade continue to grow at the rapid rate that it has been in 2025, in 2026 and beyond? What do we need to be doing at the individual level to keep the community fun, healthy, and growing?
So I would say at the community level, I think we need to actually move away from just spamming the same combos. So creating different events that have different types of restrictions is probably going to be the best thing we need to do, and including more like fun type of events, like gimmick events. For instance, I ran an event where you had to build 6 Beyblades. All 6 had to be from before Phoenix Wing. So every ratchet had to be used. So you got to get them to create more and not get too stuck in the stale meta of what is currently Beyblade. Sure, you could still have it, but sprinkle in like maybe like what's it called? Build 6, opponent picks 3, or sprinkle in a little bit of 33 grams and under type of events. That way, people are always experimenting, and there's always a chance for someone new, if they happen to show up at a gimmick event, to have that experience that they would never have had because they never had the meta base.
Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, that the opportunity to flex our creativity in our combo building and not feel so locked into what is on paper the best, and make people feel a little more comfortable with experimentation in their combo building, that can open up the door to a lot of really fun experiences. I know, shout out to Midwest, the Midwest Discord. We just ran Beyblade Midwest over this past Saturday and Sunday, and on Sunday we had a team battle event as well as a limited event, which has a ban list that bans all of the meta bays. Think Wizard Rod, Cobalt Dragoon, Phoenix Wing, all sorts of really competitive blades. And there were some really, really cool combos being run at those events. So I think you're spot on. Those types of things can really keep the fun alive within the community and also give people an excuse to break out things that they enjoy using that way they otherwise wouldn't want to use due to the competitive meta surrounding them. I just want to open the floor to you a little bit. If you have any final thoughts that you want to share with my community or the larger Beyblade community in general, whether it's related to this specific event, competitive Beyblade in general, or just your journey, anything you want to share with the community?
Don't be afraid to experiment. That's probably the biggest reason why I did so well. My deck, sure, might seem a little meta, but if you actually look closely, there's a lot of little different things I did differently.
To me, it feels less important what combos you land on and more important the testing and the theory crafting you do to get to those combos. That is a really sort of unique and personal experience that I think is really rewarding, that every blader should be trying to have.
Like I said, look at the people that ran Wizard Rod 960 ball thinking they can actually do well.
Spicy.
None of them made it to top. The reason why is they just thought, oh, this is the best on paper. It's definitely going to be the best. But you know what? At the end of the day, they got stomped out by stuff people were cooking up in the homebrew, picking it up.
Exactly. Lastly, just want to give you a chance to give any shout outs to folks in your community, anyone who helped you on your journey to the finals at Anime Expo, any other shout outs you want to make.
I want to shout out to Chi Macaroni, or aka he's known as Base Accessories on Etsy. He is my friend from Iowa. We've been working together to try to create deck boxes to where it's modular in a sense, because I'm tired of having to carry so many goddamn bags. But I want to shout out him. I want to shout out Bearnap again. He is my fucking pal. Oh, can't wait to see him again this weekend. I know Jacob Pomegranate. I got to shout out him as well. I got to shout out WBO for sure. And I know Midwest, they're cheering for me too. So I got to shout out Midwest Beyblades. there's so many people to shout out at this point, you know?
It's a great community to be a part of when you have, so too many shout outs to handle. It's hard to remember them all. I will say as well that I got a chance to check out the Base Accessories page. I'm going to link that shop down below as well. There's some really, really cool stuff on there. I haven't gotten a chance to physically see any of it yet, but it's really, really cool. There's actually some really funny videos too as well on the product page that I really like. So definitely check that out if you guys are watching this video and are looking for a new deck box for your blades. But yeah, I think that's about all I have for you, Yushua. Thanks again for your time. And again, congratulations on your second place finish at the North American qualifiers at Anime Expo. I know you had a blast. It looked like a blast. Really happy to have folks like you representing the top bladers in our community. And yeah, if any of you who are watching this video have questions for Yushua, please leave them down below in the comments. I'm sure that Yushua will not mind taking a look and answering those in the comments below this video. I'm sure you can also find them in various Discords, whether it's the WBO Discord. I know they're in the Midwest Discord as well, and others.
Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button right here, don't forget them.
Like the video if you like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, if you want more awesome Beyblade content in your feed very, very soon. This is Yushua, and I am Ryan from Anti-Wizard Wizard Club, and welcome to the club.